Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the WECM Advisory Committee of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. I am Joyce Williams. I am chair of the advisory committee, and we are getting started with the advisory committee at 10 a.m. this morning. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. We will proceed with some online protocols from the coordinating board staff. Dwayne Hiller, will you please?
Okay. Thanks, Joyce. First of all, just a reminder that this meeting is being broadcast live and is being recorded. When you speak, be sure to state your full name and mute your microphones when you're not speaking. We want to keep background noise to a minimum. We will be taking roll call. We're taking attendance and any votes by roll call, just to verify that we have a quorum. Just a reminder, the chat function is disabled, but if you have something that you need to let me know, just send me an email. We can respond. It's helpful if you use gallery or speaker view, and just remember that cameras are on at all times, or keep your cameras on at all times. And there's a feature in Zoom where you can, I think it's under reactions, where you can raise your hand if you have a question or if you need to speak. And then I will unmute you to let you speak. I think that's everything. I think you know where the restrooms are and everything else. But for now, I guess we can get started with introductions.
Yes, let's get started with introductions. And again, as a reminder, this is being recorded. I am Joyce Williams, Associate Vice Chancellor for Dallas County Community College District. Andrew, why don't we go with you? You're next on the.
Thank you. Andrew Gregory from College of the Mainland.
Robin.
Yes, I'm Robin Garrett. I'm the Deputy Chancellor of Academic and Student Success for Central Texas College.
Dixon.
Dixon Bailey, Executive Vice President, Ranger College.
Olga.
Olga Valerio, El Paso Community College Dean of the Advanced Technology Center.
Rhonda.
Rhonda Dozier, Texarkana College Program Coordinator for Cosmetology, former Dean.
Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Lozano, and I'm the Dean for the Division of Business, Public Safety, and Technology at South Texas College.
Cynthia.
I'm Cindy Casparis. I am the Academic Vice President at Angelina College.
Kevin.
I'm Kevin Morris, Dean of Business and Technology at San Jacinto College, South Campus.
Linda.
Hello, I'm Linda Head, a Senior Associate Vice Chancellor for External Employer Relations at Lone Star College.
Dwayne.
Dwayne Shaw, the Dean of Public Services and Industrial Technologies for Kilgore College.
James.
James Chegwin, Associate Professor of Computer Science and Department Chair at Tarrant County College.
Rob.
Rob Blair, Dean of Technical Education, South Point College.
Leslie. Leslie. Oh.
Leslie Olson, Director of Perkins Grants and former Division Director, Temple College.
Tom.
I'm Tom Cox. I'm Chair of Languages at San Antonio College and also the Interim Chair for Court Reporting.
Sarah.
I'm Sarah Selsing. I'm the Director of Community Workforce Education at Lamar State College North.
Troy. Got a haircut.
Yeah, hi. Dwayne Shaw. Troy DeFreitas, Department Chair for Welding at Austin Community College. Great to see you all.
And we would also like the coordinating board staff that are the liaisons for, oh, I'm sorry, before I move on, there will be additional people who will be joining us late on the call that have informed us they will be joining us late because of meeting conflicts. So they will be added in and have an introduction at that time. So at this point, we also like to have the coordinating board staff to introduce themselves. So we'll start with Dwayne Hiller, please.
Currently, it's just me. It's Dwayne Hiller. I'm a program director in the Workforce Department of Academic Quality and Workforce. And I mainly work with technical programs, program revisions, new programs, and of course, the WECM. I also work in the Perkins.
I have a question, Joyce. Did you get to look at the protocol revisions? You're muted.
Somebody's replaying Robin's stuff to me. Okay.
I got to peruse them. I really like the formatting. But
okay.
Sorry, I think that was coming from Mindy's computer.
Okay, Valerie.
Valerie, I said the other staff are in a staff meeting at this.
No, Valerie's on.
I'm here, Dwayne.
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Yeah. Valerie Carrera, administrative support for Texas Higher Education Board and the Academic Quality Workforce Division.
Okay. Mindy?
Like I said, I think Mindy is.
No, Mindy's on.
I know, but I think Mindy, are you on? You are muted. Hold on. I think Mindy might be on a delay because if she joined the meeting from the link.
Well, she's there, but she's muted and she was talking to us, so I don't know. Okay, we will.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I wouldn't say as a discouragement, but more so of being able to help guide them so that they wouldn't expect it.
She's got her computer on.
Yeah, like I said, I think she's about 30 seconds or a minute behind the rest of us.
All right. Okay, we will go ahead and start with the agenda. As well as all of you, Valerie had sent the agenda. So we've done welcome and introductions. We'll call to order. Number 2 that's on the agenda is consideration and approval of the minutes from the May 27th meeting. Has everyone read the minutes from the May 27th meeting? Okay, with that, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Joyce, when were those sent? I don't remember seeing that in an email.
Dwayne sent those minutes out. Dwayne, did you not send those minutes out? I remember, I thought I saw the minutes out.
Okay, I might not have. So in your first email, when you had the agenda, were the minutes included in that? I had sent them to the chairs, but I'm sorry, I might have forgotten.
No, we have them.
Oh,
We received, we have them.
Dwayne, this Dixon, I got the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got the one with the WECM agenda. I didn't see the minutes. So, yeah, I just see the one with the WECM agenda on mine. So.
Okay. So, Dwayne, can you forward the minutes to everyone, please? And maybe we will have time to get them approved before the adjournment. If not, I have approved these minutes and the other minutes at the next meeting. If you could just go ahead. I remember getting them. So some people got them, I guess, and others did not.
So we're saying some people had received them. Who else did not receive them?
I received them.
Joyce, we cannot hear you.
Dwayne, can you just send them out to everyone again so that everyone has them?
Sure.
Joyce, I received those minutes on July the 6th.
Right, like I said, some of you might have received them as before the subcommittee chairs meeting. So if you're one of the subcommittee chairs, you might have.
I received them again on July 24th.
Yes, I received them on the 24th as well.
Oh, okay, there they are. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I found them. They were hidden in the other thing. I didn't see the other Dwayne one from Dwayne. Thank you.
Okay. So now that we've gotten the minutes resolved, and all of you have received the minutes and maybe had a chance to read them.
I move we approve the minutes.
Okay, it has been moved.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as read. Are there any objections? Hearing none, then the minutes have been approved as read. Moving on to the third agenda item. Dwayne, are there any public testimonies that I do not have on the agenda?
No, we did not receive any public.
Number 4, the coordinating board update for Perkins 5 and other legislative changes. Mindy and Dwayne.
Okay. I think we'll come back to this part. We have a presentation by Kyla Torrey of our staff, and she's going to talk about open education resources. Again, she's in the staff meeting, so she won't be on until 11 o'clock. Let me see if...
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so
Mindy is still behind, so we will go ahead and continue. Okay. Updates from professional organizations, TASTE, TACTI, and TACRO. So I know we have Leslie on. Leslie?
TACTI had our virtual board meeting, which, as we are all getting used to, was different and unique, but still very productive. So we've set our goals for this year. And then, of course, the TACTI conference is in April. Although most of us have completed and submitted the CLNAs, Michael Brunstein is still coming back. Along with it, we will have our November meeting and finalize different aspects of our agenda and publish the agenda and conference at a glance. Joyce, we're hopeful that you still are interested in WECM 101 as a pre-conference, but that is also open for further discussion. But we look for and are continuing our tracks and definitely looking at providing some information and focus and training related to WECM at the TACTI conference.
Thank you, Leslie, for the update. Dwayne Shaw has twisted my arm and my leg and my neck to do this 101. So yes, I'll still commit.
Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you, Joyce. Joyce, I will also tell you that when we had to close down the last conference, I think we had at least 75 people registered for WECM 101.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's a good thing. So great. All right. The next agenda, I don't think Vernon is here, Dwayne. Is Vernon? Okay. Mindy, did Mindy send a note? Did anyone see Mindy's note?
Which note?
She wants to know if anyone has the YouTube stream open. Please turn off if you do. YouTube stream open. Please turn off if you do. This is Rhonda, by the way. Dozier.
Thanks. Yeah, I just got that. I don't think anybody does. So.
You want me to reply no?
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I know that Denny will be joining us later as well for the TACRO update. And Vernon is not with us at this point, so for the TASTE update. So number 6, which is a report from Welcome Protocol Subcommittee. Given the last time we met, and you can see in the minutes, we had a discussion about a protocol that we needed to strengthen for based on the fact that we had some loose understanding. And we felt that the protocols are always the way to help the field have a stronger understanding of what the intent of of a process that we're trying to deliver. And one of the concerns was about the increase of the number of rubrics that are being added to the WECM, and how that process has been taking place, how they're getting added to the WECM without coming through this committee, without going through TACRO, and because of the fact that they're going through the local need process, then all of a sudden they're showing up on transcripts. So we needed to look at the protocol so that we can strengthen the teachable moments and the understanding. So the protocol subcommittee chair, Dr. Robin Garrett has brought something forth for us to review as the charge to her committee. So with that, I turn the floor over to subcommittee chair.
Thank you, Joyce. Does everybody have a copy of the recommended draft protocol updates? If you do, please, oh good, he's going to put it. Dwayne, would you go down to, or whoever's running this, go down to the last page where it shows the GIPWE information, so I can start with that?
This is under local need courses.
No, keep going. The last page just has some excerpts from the GIPWE. There we go. So I included this from page 29 of the GIPWE so that everybody could remember that each 4-letter rubric is designed to not necessarily mean the specific courses, but it's supposed to be, you're supposed to look at the course descriptions and outcomes. So I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention and have a record of that so that the rubrics that sometimes are submitted with local need are directed specifically at that occupation and not necessarily looking at what the current WECM manual has in it. So I just wanted to point that out. And if you scroll down a little bit more, it appears that on April 7th of this year, this statement was added to the GIPWE. It says local need courses may be used to respond to unique local or regional conditions or regulatory changes, to expand an existing discipline to include new specialty, or to create courses in new disciplines. New disciplines are those with no course rubrics in the WECM inventory of courses. So that was added to help explain the emerging technology rubric submissions that have been taking place. So now if you'll go back up to the actual protocol up at the top. Okay, so since the local need and special topic review is conducted by a subcommittee of the WECM Advisory Committee titled the Credit Special Topic and Local Need Review Subcommittee, and then there's another subcommittee for non-credit, this is where it should begin after it comes to the coordinating board in my mind, in my flow. So in my thoughts here. So when it gets submitted and Dwayne reviews it, it should go to the, I'm proposing that it go to this subcommittee to review and recommend whether or not that rubric should be moved to TACRO to determine if it has never been used before and if it could be used. That part of that determination is reviewing the current WECM to make sure there aren't existing courses or an existing area that would apply to this emerging technology or submission from the college just because they wanted a different rubric. I added in there, in order to expedite this process, this review must be completed within 45 days of the coordinating board receipt, only to be sure that we respond as quickly as possible to the needs of the institutions across the state. And then if you'll scroll down a little bit more, you can see that I added the same thing to the non-credit local need review. And also keep in mind that if you remember, under the rubrics in the WECM manual, there are special topic numbers. So we shouldn't have this for a special topics course. It should only come through as a local need. And that's why in that bullet, I say the review and recommendation of new local need emerging technology rubric requests, but it could be both non-credit and credit. So it could come in on either side. So the same thing was added. And then scroll down a little bit more. So then actually in the protocol for local need, I added this statement. New rubrics must be approved by the WECM Advisory Committee in consultation with TACRO. Due to the required research and approval process, a request for new emerging technology rubrics may delay local need approval. So that if, just to cover us, because it does have to go through that subcommittee before it's approved. It's not just at the coordinating board. And this should come in before a new rubric is approved. It really also should come to the WECM Advisory Committee also, because that is part of the process, or was part of the original process anyway. And I thought I had something in there that noted that. Yeah, that statement where it says new rubrics must be approved by the WECM Advisory Committee. Yeah, that's there. That actually was in the old protocols, and it was removed from these protocols in one of the revisions somehow, some way. Any questions?
So Robin, Dixon Bailey. So total time to completion, start to end on a local needs course with your revisions, is that 45 days? That's the goal through WECM, the whole 9 yards?
Dwayne, do you think that it could be accomplished in 45 days?
Right. And I guess one question, you know how you and Vernon set up the procedures, the kind of internal procedures for the reviews. We would probably need to set up some kind of internal procedures where I'm visualizing and that I would send a list each week or as they come.
Yeah.
And hope that I don't know if it would be to the subcommittee or to the full committee, and then have the recommendation of whether to approve or to use the current existing rubric instead.
So yeah, we do need to update the general or the actual more specific procedure document also. Yeah.
Yeah, I am anticipating. So currently we have about a 30-day turnaround. That's just the usual. I check the WECM, make sure it's not an existing course, and then if everything's all right, then go ahead and approve it and then send it to the committee. If we send it to the committee once we get them and we give them a week or two to review, then we should still be able to keep within the 30 to 45 day window. again, we want to give that little extra time just when in busy times when we need either several courses or delays due to
or world pandemic may hit.
right.
And
My own,
remind me.
I have a, oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Speaking,
okay.
Andrew. Okay.
It's Troy DeFreitas. Go ahead.
My only comment is, are you all seeing a difference right now for the non-credit WECM classes due to COVID-19 and the special requests we might each be getting locally to start new certificate programs, courses, whatnot, that are unusual and different, like a COVID-19 tracer program or those kinds of things? Robin, are you seeing anything different, or is anyone else?
I'm not seeing anything, but I don't see all of the requests that come through. Dwayne?
Right, and Vernon, I think you just joined.
Linda, will you announce your name? Linda, please announce your name with the question, please, so that they'll know the recording of who said it.
Sorry, they're mowing the lawn outside my office. My question is, due to COVID-19.
Linda, say your name first.
Oh, I'm sorry, Linda Head, Lone Star College. Due to COVID-19 and the special requests, our college, I assume other colleges, are being asked to create fast track certificate non-credit programs quickly, and sometimes different kinds of programs than we had before, like the COVID-19 tracer program in Houston. Does that have any impact on, I don't know, the expediency or the number of local needs courses that might come through?
I have a comment regarding to this one, because I know that you're going from fast track, but actually the courses they are, Olga Valerio, El Paso Community College, sorry. The courses they are requiring is a regular courses. The only thing is that companies, especially health occupations or manufacturing occupations, are doing like some kind of hand sanitizer or whatever. However, we have a cluster already in manufacturing or drafting or production or mechanical. I mean, that one, they can be there. What you have to do it is just to change objectives. I mean, it is not to request a new course number because we already have a cluster there. However, when we were reviewing the courses also for credit, I noticed some nursery programs, they are requesting to explain about COVID-19. Again, the course is already there, but it's a cluster. It's like Robin said, we have the rubric already. We don't need to create a new rubric or course number or special topic because it's already there. Yeah. Thank you.
I have a question. So if I just try to go through the workflow of what happens. So a school who wants to develop a course that there is not an existing rubric. This is Andrew Gregory, sorry. If they want to develop a new emerging course that there is no rubric, they propose a rubric. It gets sent to the coordinating board staff. It is reviewed there to see if there is an existing rubric that the course would fit under. Then it is forwarded to the WECM Advisory Committee, and they in turn forward it to TACRO and their subcommittee for review. And then it reverses direction back up to through the committee, the WECM Advisory Committee, to the coordinating board staff. Is that true?
It is true, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry, it is true, but just keep in mind, we are talking about emergency technologies. We are talking about, for example, this now media that they have it like Unix, how to use mobile marketing and all this kind of stuff. Maybe some courses in cloud that we have it, but we already established a degree in that courses. Just keep in mind, it's not courses related to new, let's say mechatronics. Many people wants to do mechatronics, but mechatronics is composed to to the programs, manufacturing, maintenance, mechanical, then we already have there the programs or process technology. We already have rubrics. The problem is that you have to look in the different WECM, or you have to look in, I forget another web page that we have it. You have to look and compound all together and have the mechatronics degree. Because I noticed one college was requesting the mechatronics, but we already have all the courses, all the rubrics are ready. Maybe one class, it could be only the difference. Remember, emerging technologies, that's the only one maybe we can request a rubric.
Joyce Williams, Andrew, you're correct. That is the flow that Robin has proposed in the protocol for a new rubric. If submitted, the flow is exactly what you just said. If we had to build that yellow brick road, you've just built that yellow brick road, because that is the flow that she has here.
Right. Some of us are more pictorial. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
The only thing I would add is when it comes to the WEC Advisory Committee, it goes to the WECM Advisory Subcommittee for review. And then you had mentioned the TACRO Subcommittee. I don't know what TACRO does with it once they get it. So our TACRO representative would be the one we would contact, and then they would handle it from however they need to for their review process.
This is Dixon Bailey. I'm going to kind of follow up on Linda Head. I think where Linda Head was going. Of course, local needs, a course that you intend to offer over and over and over. So it's something you want to get in and not a special topic. There are times, and I would assume everybody would agree, that you really don't even have 45 days. And it's not a lot. And it may be a course you want to offer over and over and over. And in that case, you would probably go special topics and start the local needs process. Would that be the procedure?
That would be the best. That's what we've done in the past.
I have one other comment before you start wrapping this up, Chair Williams. Graphics. Now that one of my colleagues has mentioned graphics and bulleted lists and enumerated lists and those kinds of things, the world has changed. We are also busy. I mean, I probably spend most of my evenings working on return to building lists, and then that changes, and we all are doing that, right? The schedules and things. It would be helpful in moving forward in this manual to have more, this is step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then maybe this is the decision maker at each step, rather than have it so much in paragraph form, so that those that work with us, for us, in other departments, whatever, can just more quickly hone in and see the process.
This is Dixon Bailey. I agree. Great idea.
Olga Valerio, okay, this is Olga Valerio. What are you requesting, Linda? Let me see. Yeah, I don't understand. Is that you wanted a bullet, like a little, I call that recipe, a kitchen recipe, bullets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, thank you.
Or a flow chart, a pictorial flow chart.
Okay, are there additional questions? Thank you, Subcommittee Chair Robin Garrett, for the update on the protocol. And I'd like to move this to a vote by asking for a motion to approve the protocol as rewritten and clarified, with some proposed revisions of adding a pictorial flow chart to have the protocols looked at where there is a flow chart that provides some clarity within the steps.
We have the bullet and this, I'm sorry, this is James Chegwin from, can we have the bullet and the flow chart? Because sometimes flow charts as a computer person is not necessarily the best. I think both ways would probably be better.
Yeah, James, just to repeat what I said adding the flow chart. So I agree with you. In addition to what we already had, we would just add the flow chart. So I'd like to receive a motion, please.
Make a motion, we approve as amended as Joyce stated.
Okay, thank you, Dixon.
I second Cindy Kessler.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. It has been moved and seconded that we accept the protocol submission revised as presented by the subcommittee. Okay, as presented by the subcommittee chair, Robin Garrett, for the protocol of submission of local need courses. So hearing that, do we have any further discussion? Okay. Are there any issues with moving this forward as also discussed? And the only reason I threw that in is because there was lots of conversation. And I wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to be a part if they had not expressed concerns during the discussion. Okay. All right, hearing none. Are there any objections? Hearing none, then the motion is passed. We thank you, Chair Garrett, Subcommittee Chair Garrett, for bringing this forward. And so the protocol has been revised, approved for revision as submitted.
Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome report from the workshop, review workshop committee, subcommittees. We have a review workshop. Do we have a review workshop? We don't have a workshop, Dwayne.
I guess the only report I have is that we have scheduled the jewelry making and clock watch repair workshop for August 12th at 9 o'clock. Again, we'll be presenting, I guess, the results of that workshop at the next meeting. We're also planning to, I guess, based on comments and local needs special topics course reviews from the previous meeting, we're also planning to hold or to organize workshops for radio and TV broadcasting for, I'm sorry, just a second. Film and can't remember exactly what it is, but FLMC, and also to call together the Cisco workshop to look at the CCNP and the Cisco Networking Essentials course.
Dwayne, has Cisco been given an actual date? Do we have dates for the radio, TV, and Cisco workshops? I know we have one for the jewelry making and horology, but do you have dates that have been affirmed for the other two workshops?
No, we haven't set dates yet. We still need to send out the request for nominations and then set the date.
Okay, so do you have a timeline set for sending out the Cisco and the filmmaking? The Cisco I know has been a priority. So do we have any timelines, or if you don't have them now, can you get that back to the committee? Because there are a lot of people who are wanting that pretty quickly.
right now we don't have a timeline yet, but
Okay.
it'll be a early, I guess, early fall as quickly as we can.
Yes, that would be best. So if you could get that timeline out of when we're talking about sending out the notices so that each of the representatives on the call can make sure that they talk to their lead faculty and or deans of those committees so that we can quickly have those nominations turned back around to you so that we can have dates that'll be set up for those workshops.
Sure.
So did you want to give a little background on the jury making and horology group? Or you just, that was the only part of the report you wanted to report out on?
Right. Or I'm sorry, what was?
Would you like to give a little background on the workshop for the jewelry making and horology?
Okay, well, just like from the last, minutes from the last meeting. So we've contacted the instructional specialist and some of the administration from Paris Junior College and Austin Community College. And they're looking at the jewelry making courses, which is kind of a separate discipline and a separate industry from the watch repair courses. Currently, they're all under the same rubric, HRGY. They're looking at separating them out into the two distinct disciplines. They'll be moving into a new zip code for the jewelry making in zip 500713. And yeah, both colleges agree that those are two distinct disciplines that would need their different zip code.
Okay. All right, thank you, Dwayne. There was no approval needed on that item. So number 8, report from Welcome Committee, comments on Welcome Comments Review Subcommittee. Subcommittee Chair Blair, I think you are the Welcome Comments Chair as well. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
All right.
Okay, so Rob Blair, South Plains College. We had 3 WECM comments submitted this time around, and so I'm going to go into a little more detail than usual. I had a college propose that during the last WECM summer meeting, whenever that was, that a course, FLMC 2335, the course title was changed during the WECM workshop, but it does not reflect that change in the WECM manual. So the recommendation is to, of course, research the minutes. And if the WECM workshop minutes, review those minutes. And if the title is revised or left unchanged according to the minutes. But also, as we just discussed a few minutes ago, we're going to have another at some time, RTF, Radio, Television, and Film WECM workshop that could also review and revisit if that description should be changed or not. So there's 2 different ways of doing that. So either address the minutes and change accordingly, or wait till the workshop and change at that time. We also had a college that recommended the addition of a rubric to the WECM for specifically NCCER, electrical, plumbing, and pipe fitting programs. So they request a new rubric for NCCER, electrical program, and pipe fitting programs without deviation, elimination, or integration of the existing WECM courses. Now, Robin went through that process a few minutes ago, but at this point in time, based on the information that we received, the committee does not reference a change unless NCCER course descriptions and learning outcomes are totally different than current WECM courses. And note that colleges always have the ability to add descriptions and outcomes to current courses. Okay, the last WECM comment we had at college has been researching in virtual and augmented reality. And they say they did some pretty rigorous research, and there's not much in the WECM inventory pertaining to virtual and augmented reality. I quickly looked as well. I didn't in depth, but I quickly looked through course titles and rubrics and didn't find much myself either. So the recommendation is to further review local needs or special topic courses. The recommendation is to identify if any local needs or special topic courses have been submitted in the virtual or augmented reality area, and also to investigate job outlook for Texas. If courses are needed by only one college, then local needs courses are the recommendation. But it's certainly up for discussion to see if it's needed more than one college. We had a college submit some TDLR information that they felt needs to be noted by the WECM Advisory Committee. And so TDLR proposals are to consolidate, and these are proposals only, no mandates at this point in time, just considerations, recommendations, proposal. Consolidate Texas regulation of barbers and cosmetologists and administer the two programs as one program. So this is in the future, but there's a chance that barbers and cosmetologists curriculum licensure could be administered by TDLR as one program instead of two individual programs. Also, the elimination of the journeyman licensing and journeyman industrial electrician licensing. So journeyman line worker license and electrician license. They're talking about the elimination of those licenses. I don't know how that would change curriculum, but I guess it could. I doubt it. Probably wouldn't. It wouldn't change South Plains College in my view. And then also driver training programs. Now that's just information that TDLR is proposing that the college wanted WECM Advisory Committee to know. Any questions?
Okay, and I guess kind of to clarify on that TDLR, what they're consolidating is the licensure. The curriculum is, I guess, can still be distinct, but it's just that the licensure will now be under one licensing body rather than two. And I gave you I included that email from Joe Arrington in yesterday's email. And I'm sorry, I'm just looking for, there's a link. And this is, again, this is the sunset review of the TDLR. And this is the sunset board staff report, which is the first stage of a 3-stage process. So it goes from there to public comment, and then I think the agency, the TDLR, will respond, and then they'll get the final report as part 3. But this report, and again, Joe Arrington mentions it starts on about page 33. During the report, they look at the disparities between the requirements of cosmetologists and barbers, and they come up with this proposed license consolidation where things that are in both barbering and cosmetology currently, such as manicurist, esthetician, and some of them are different names, they will now go under a single consolidated license with these titles. And the schools will be referred to as private post-secondary, public post-secondary, or public secondary. And the establishments will be known mainly as establishments rather than beauty salon or barbershop. It's kind of an interesting read if you have time. I know there was something in the news, and now it's also in this report talking about the barber pole and the requirements that you have to be a licensed barber in order to display the barber pole. And that's no longer going to be in effect. I think it was something in the 1700s or 1800s when barbers stopped practicing medicine, that requirement was kind of done away with, but it's just kind of a legacy requirement. It's kind of an interesting read. And then there's one little comment that I enjoyed in there that says, you know, the cosmetology licensing also includes wig making. And there's a comment kind of splashed out that says, no wig making violations have ever been cited in the history of the licensing process. So I think these things are interesting. I think the Sunset Review Board, you know, did a really good job of looking at just extraneous things that the DDLR does. So
this is Dixon Bailey. You know, in that read, I only had one comment. I think it's a good idea combining the barber school and cosmetology. One thing that I think needs a little discussion, just my own personal opinion, is that it also recommends taking out the requirement of additional training for instructors, correct? And, you know, one of the things that we all know running technical programs is you can find people that have technical ability, the people who can actually teach in the classroom and have been through that process. It's left to the college to do the onboarding. I'm sure you can have your own procedures, but I thought cosmetology had that one right. To teach, you have to go through that extra course. But anyway, that's just a comment.
Right, and I guess the one part about that I remember is, so I think like a barber only requires 300 hours to become a barber instructor, whereas I can't remember exact number, cosmetology requires a certain amount more. So if there's ever a crossover, a barber would have to take an extraordinarily large number of hours in order to become a cosmetology instructor, whereas the cosmetology would only have to take the 300 hours to become a barber instructor. And I think they were trying to level out that disparity. But again, this information only, and maybe check with your departments to see if this affects any of your programs, cosmetology programs or barber programs.
Thank you.
This is Rhonda. I just wanted to say, since this is kind of my area of expertise, until COVID goes away, it doesn't really matter.
That's a good point. But
thank you, Rhonda.
The wheels of democracy keep spinning, though.
Yes.
So this is Andrew Gregory. I'm just curious, someone that has more knowledge about this. So the import for community colleges would be that the programs and curriculum for barbers and cosmetologists would be merged, and we'd essentially lose barber programs all over. Is that accurate?
And I think that's what I was I don't believe that that's the case. The only change being made is that the licensing body will be, instead of having two licensing bodies, you'll just have one. But you can still have two different curricula, one for barber and one for cosmetology. But again, it would have to meet the new, if there are any new licensing requirements, it would have to fall under that.
This is Andrew again. So, but if they equalize the licensing requirements and basically they become synonymous with each other, then wouldn't our curriculums reflect that? And basically, if you want to be a barber, you still have to take everything that a cosmetologist would need to take.
Yeah, and these are questions we'll probably need to review as we get closer to.
This is Rhonda again, and yes, that is correct. You know, they cut cosmetology back to from 1,500 to 1,000. So, and we the higher education was kind of thrown off guard about that until it was too late. So we lost 500 contact hours at our school, plus a third semester of everything, because they basically cut a third of the training out. Right. And now they're talking about, so you know, they didn't change barber until after the fact. And they had a lot of discussion about, well, why is barber $1,500 still and cosmetology is now just $1,000? So why would anybody go to a barber school if they have to go for a longer time and more money? So they made a change. Now barber is $1,000. So they're both equal in that. Well, now that they have changed them both to $1,000, and Dwayne, you probably read pages and pages and pages of my comments in Sunset Review, but now that they've made that change to where they are both 1,000 hours, what they did was lay out all of the state mandated curriculum, and there are only a few areas that are not in both, because barbers now do color and they don't do manicures and pedicures. So what they're looking at, and this, I believe this will come, it will probably come in my career. My opinion is they will have nail techs that will not be in cosmetology. They will have hairdressers, hairstylists, and barbers that will all do cutting, styling, coloring, and all of that. So that is my opinion, that I think what they're going towards. I did talk to somebody at TDLR during the Sunset Review process, and lots of reasons behind this. Inspections will be fewer. You know, there's money things on their end of it, why they are talking about wanting to do this. But we will have to adjust our curriculum accordingly. We don't have a barber program, but those who do, you're going to end up, just like we got thrown off guard with this 1,500 to 1,000, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to end up being thrown off guard if we don't stay on top of this.
Rhonda, what does that mean in terms of numbers of courses within a associate degree, going from 1,500 to 1,000 hours or more? Yeah.
Announce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do that every time. Linda Head, Lone Star College. What does it mean to reduce by 500 hours? How much does that mean in terms of an associate of applied science degree?
Well, we went from a 42 semester credit hour cosmetology program to a 30 semester credit hour cosmetology program. Two semesters with 15 hours each. And so the remaining hours are just academic courses if they would choose to go ahead and get their associate's degree.
So my I'm sorry.
So as before, we only had 6 extra courses that they had to take out of the core to have an Associates of Applied Science. Now we have 30 extra hours, semester credit hours, that they have to take out of the core to become, get an Associates of Applied Science.
Okay, thank you. This is Linda Head again. Then my second question is on the cosmetology instructor program. That's still a separate program, or are those that can a student get both? Can a student receive?
It's a separate program. They can't legally be enrolled in any 2 programs at one time.
Okay,
they're enrolled, but have a permit for 1 program at a time. Now they do offer 2 options. They have a 500-hour option, and then they have a 750-hour option. So those are on the school side, and you have to have a approval with TDLR to offer that 500-hour program. That will be a disaster if they take the instructor away, because I do believe that it's a big deal. And when I was dean, I would use the curriculum for the cosmetology instructors for all of workforce in our professional development, because it's not hair related, it's teacher related. And it's basically a psychology kind of teacher education course. And you can apply all of those elements to any technical educator.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And we do appreciate our cosmetologists.
Okay, thank you so much.
Joyce,
Subcommittee.
I guess I'd like to mention Kyla Torre is here to give a presentation. So I'd like to move to the, I guess, agenda item 4, which is the coordinating board report, before we go on to the next agenda item.
But let me just go ahead and finish out this item, which is that we had no voting, no need for voting. It was mostly informational. that the Welcome Committee review is asking, subcommittee is asking us to do, that they would bring forth those comments. And certainly we want to thank the field for making sure that we are aware of all TDLR changes. And that's hats off to this committee of being responsive, that the field feels that they can submit us information. So I think I'm right, Subcommittee Blair, that there was nothing that you needed us to approve. It was more of an informational item on all three comments, and that you actually asking that some of those comments, like the workshop that was going to already be triggered by the film making specialist, that comment's going to already be rendered by that, and that the research for the virtual reality and looking at whether or not there are existing courses that have already been submitted for local needs. And I think Olga and her committee actually have some of those courses that were submitted by the same college that submitted the welcome comments. So at this point in time, there's no voting item, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Other than if the college is asking for NCCER for a new rubric, but as far as the content goes, we believe that there's probably content available, and those course descriptions are not specific, and that would meet NCCR electrical, plumbing, and pipe fitting programs. So without that content that they need, comparing to the WECM courses, at this point in time, with the information we have, no changes are recommended.
Okay. And based on the new protocol we just approved, that process would actually go to, since they're asking for a new rubric, we do now have a workflow for that process. So again, it is just a recommended, and the welcome comment subcommittee would then pass that information on forward to the special topic and local needs subcommittees, non-credit and credit, for them to look at the review of that.
Joyce, this is Rhonda Dozier. I just have a comment about that. Is there any way we can make it clearer, and this was probably directed to Dwayne, to colleges and those writing, building programs, changing programs, that you can in fact add content? It's like everybody is afraid to add anything to that WECM description. Why? I don't understand that.
Right, and let me just clarify, this comment or this recommendation came from the Electrical, Plumbing, and Pipe Fitting Subcommittee of the Program of Study Committee. So it wasn't a college that submitted it. It was actually the industry partner who submitted it. And she wanted to emphasize that she did not want, she wanted a unique set of courses that NCCER, which is the licensing body, would recognize, so that colleges could teach these courses and students could go from college to college. So it's kind of a program of study mindset that she wanted to set these courses up. And she was saying that the existing WECM courses, the licensing body would not necessarily recognize that their standards were taught in those courses unless they had their own rubric. And that's the justification for that comment or for that recommendation.
And just for clarification, the welcome body moved away from vendor-specific courses a couple of years ago. And so what she's basically asking for is vendor-specific courses based on licensure.
Right.
And
yeah, it's not a vendor, but it's a licensing body.
Right. And well, NCCR licensing body, you have to buy their materials, you have to buy this. It ends up being vendor. But I do understand it is a licensing, it is a certification
body.
It's not a licensing, it's a certification body in which they do provide certification. And so it is used in the construction field a lot. And I think what we would have to do is unpack what they have to see if our current information, the current standards that we teach, which are based on licensing, which is through, for electricians, for plumbing, they have licensing. So we can't change what we have for the state of Texas requirements on the licensing for a certification. So we need to be able to work that out to find out if, because although an electrician or a school has NCCR certification, I do not think that an electrician that is not licensed by the state of Texas is going to be hired as an electrician just because they got NCCR certification. So we want to make sure that there's a balance between the two of the NCCR certification of the content and that the Texas requirement for licensing those two, especially plumbing and electrician, because of the liability that the school and the students will have. So we want to be able to make sure that the industry on both sides of that, and that the colleges and students are not caught in the middle. So there may be a way to bring that together where we can support the certification needs of NCCR within the curriculum, where we can have them to review our curriculum that is based on the state of Texas requirements, to see if these particular courses or if there are certain modules within those courses do align with NCCR requirements, and how so, and where we can put those, because I know that a lot of NCCR now is taught on the non-credit side.
Yeah.
So we may be able to look at that, to do a crosswalk of that, so we can make sure that we're continuing, and there's no confusion between people thinking an NCCR certification meets the licensing standards for electrician and plumbing for the state.
This is Linda Head, Chair Williams. Dwayne and Chair Williams, is there a way to do that? It seems, yes, in general terms, we don't want to follow vendor certifications. We still have Cisco because they're well recognized in the industry. NCCER certainly in commercial construction, well recognized in the industry. Can we have a follow-up to the meeting, Dwayne, that you had? Chair Williams, I don't know if that's part of our work or not to recommend something like that, but that there be another meeting and colleges across the state can submit their commercial construction friends to help come up with that answer.
Well, I actually think that we have a subcommittee that's on the non-credit side of the house, since most NCCR courses are really now taught on the non-credit side of the house. And I think that subcommittee can work with the state licensing agency in a representative from the industry of NCCR to have a conversation where NCCR looks at the standards and see what they will accept under NCCR certification within those standards, and therefore being able to create or marginalize curriculum within that. But what we don't want to have is the colleges to think that if they're teaching NCCR standards or certification requirements, they also then meet the licensing requirements of an electrician or a plumbing at the state level, because there's a liability that is associated with that curriculum that we're teaching. So I want to make sure that there's a clear understanding from the college's standpoint that we don't remove ourselves away from the requirements of TDLR licensing when we're teaching electrician and plumbing program, and we're advertising it as such, because they have to be licensed and be able to sit there to actually practice. Now, they can be plumber helpers, they can be electrician helpers, But the moment we give someone a certificate or a piece of paper that says that they're electrician or plumbing, they are going to associate that with the fact that they've set for a licensure under the state standards and they've had that. So I want to just make sure that where we're going with this is that there is there is a conversation that's going on between the two industry partners. Between NCCR and our requirements in the licensure. So we will put that in the subcommittee of special topics and local needs for non-credit, led by Vernon Hawkins.
This is Dixon.
Lorraine, will you
do just a quick comment?
Okay, go ahead, Dixon.
Oh, okay. Just a quick comment on that. I think you've all touched on a lot of the issues. You know, when a third-party industry recognized certification starts carrying more weight, transferable inside and outside the borders, it starts to become more important. And Joyce, you're 100% right. That is expensive stuff. What if there is power in WECM and TDLR to make some sort of partnerships with like INSER and other third-party certification companies, you know, to incorporate what they do or their standardized curriculum in both our CE and credit workforce programs that mirror what their certs are. I think there would be some power in that, you know, us as a group of colleges and the state and TDLR working with them to get the prices down on their materials and kind of packaging those things together. Because they're really expensive. If you don't have it in your program, your student's going to pay, or you're going to pay. The Skills Development Fund's going to pay, and you guys know that they all push through TWC. You know, they have a heavy focus on third-party industry recognized certs. So this is probably going to evolve to be probably a little bit more prevalent issue as we move forward.
So I have a comment on that. My experience with NCCER when I was dean is it was textbook based. And so we've added the curriculum. We supplemented the books with NCCER textbooks. So I put it in welding, I put it in industrial maintenance, I put it in construction, and one other program I can't remember. But so we adopted their textbooks, and at the end of their module or training, they took the NCCER certification test. So just because their courses, as long as they aligned in some degree, you know, there was you're going to meet those limited objectives or descriptions or whatever. We did the additional work, and they became certified with NCCER after they tested. So I'm confused on how it's really a local college decision. I mean, our students are getting those certifications, and they're graduating from the college, meeting all the requirements of the community college program of study or degree. So that was just wanted to let you know it's more of a curriculum to me than it is a program.
I have a comment. We do the same for welding, but we adapt the curriculum based in the American Welding Society for the students because it's a different kind of certification. However, in WECM, we have courses that they cover this kind of certification. And then we have also NCCR, the electricians, they cover the same kind of certification with the courses that we have. It's not to create new courses because the industry want like that way. We already have plumbing, electrician, maybe not pipe fitting together. Maybe that one, it has to be a local need because it's nothing in the WECM courses that we have that one. But we cannot adapt courses because we are going to be teaching according to the textbooks. I mean, everything is there, the foundation, everything is already in WECM. It's like you mentioned, it's a textbook that we have to give it an extra curriculum, but keeping an eye and be very clear that this is an industry certification, but it doesn't allow to the students to say, oh, I can work like a master plumber or journeyman plumber, because no, we are giving to the students a misinformation. We need to be very clear about that. I know Texas Workforce is looking for industry recognized certifications. Why? Because that's why they can prove they have more certified students. But in the reality, no, we are not. We are saying students are in compliance with the foundation of the electricians or plumbers or welders. That's it. They don't care what kind the certification they can have it. They can have American Welding Society, they can have MCC, they can have NCCR. It doesn't matter. They want only industrial certifications besides to OSHA.
Thank you all for your comments. At this point in time, Dwayne, we will turn it over to the coordinating board for the coordinating board update and report.
Okay, and I'll jump in here. I'd like to introduce Dr. Kyla Torrey, Program Director in Academic Quality and Workforce. Kyla is the agency's lead on the Open Educational Resources Initiative and is going to present to us on this significant initiative. Following Kyla's OER presentation, I'll give just my usual CB update. Kyla?
Okay, and Kyla, are you able to share your screen?
I think so, yeah. Should be fine. Thanks. So Kyle, you're gonna have to forgive me because they started drilling or something in the apartment right above mine about 2 seconds ago. So if you can hear that, I apologize. But I'm going to share my presentation here. As Mindy said, I'm going to be talking about open educational resource initiatives here at the agency. If you're not familiar with open educational resources, they are basically materials that are copyright licensed in such a way that they can be used and remixed and revised by anyone as long as they're given attribution to the original author. That's sort of the basic definition. It gets a little more complicated, but this includes textbooks, PowerPoints, all sorts of educational materials, assignments, case studies, whatever you use in the classroom. There are 2 recent bills that passed the legislature about OER. The first was Senate Bill 810 in 2017, and that among other things, there were a few points to Senate Bill 810, but it established the OER grant program, which is what I'm going to talk about. And then in 2019, House Bill 3652 required THECB to create a state repository for OER. So we'll talk about where we are with that. So I'll begin with the Open Educational Resources Grant Program that came out of Senate Bill 810. So in the first round in 2018, the purpose of the grant program is to encourage faculty at institutions of higher education to either adopt or adapt or develop courses that use only OER. So in 2018, the program was organized in such a way that $8,000 was given to faculty who did this for one course, and then $16,000 for faculty who did this for multiple courses. And then the faculty are required to teach the course using the OER that they've either adopted, adapted, or developed 4 times during the grant period. So the grant period ends up being quite long. It's almost 3 years long, so that they have time to teach that course 4 times, and we can see we can get some data there, so we can see how much students have saved, since OER are generally free, and in fact for the grant program are required to be free to students, except for the cost of printing if students choose to print them. The grants are a little unusual in that they're distributed directly to faculty as individuals. They don't go through the institution. We do require that the faculty sort of notifies the institution and gets sign off from the institution that they understand that the faculty member is applying for this grant, and then they're notified once they're awarded. So that was 2018. We awarded, well, so We announced the grant awards in October of 2018. We selected 15 faculty members to be awarded out of 41 eligible applications. And then, as I said, the grant period is quite long. It's still ongoing, and it will end August of 2021. These are the faculty members that were chosen in 2018 as awardees. We focused in this first round of grants on Texas core curriculum courses with high enrollments. We thought that that was sort of the best course of action to have the most impact right away. Since a lot of students take these courses, they're transferable, and there are some OER materials already available for introductory courses like this, so faculty could adapt them to their courses. So you can see in the course list that there was a variety of subjects that were chosen. And also a mix of 2-year and 4-year institutions. We got a pretty good balance of 2-year and 4-year institutions where the faculty came from. So in the last legislative session, more funding was appropriated for additional grants. So we posted a new request for applications in May of 2020 with an application deadline in June. And then because of COVID, because of the end of the semester and all of these things, we decided to extend the deadline to July 20th of 2020. So right now, the application deadline has basically just passed, and the review of applications is underway. It's required in statute that each application is reviewed by 3 external experts. And the way we read that is that they have to be reviewed by faculty members who are either experts in the content, experts in OER, experts in instructional design. There is, I don't know if you're going to get these slides, but there is a link to the website in them. Otherwise, if you go to where you can look for institutional grants on the webpage, you can find more information about the grant program and the request for applications if you're curious. We changed the format of the program a bit for 2020. We're going to be giving 2 different types of grants. Development grants, which are a maximum of $25,000 for faculty or teams of faculty who want to develop new OER or substantially improve something that already exists. And then $5,000 to faculty or teams of faculty who want to adopt existing OER. The reason for this is that it's more labor and time intensive to develop new OER and design a course around it than it is to adopt an existing OER textbook, for example. And it still takes some labor, of course, to change your course around for that, but not as much as writing a whole new textbook or whatever the case may be. So we're hoping to award approximately 5 to 6 development grants and about 20 to 25 implementation grants. And then the grant period for this round will be ending in August of 2023. And again, they'll have to teach the course 4 times during the grant period. I expect that the announcement for grant awards will be in September. Because the deadline was pushed back, that may get pushed back a little bit, but I'm still aiming for sometime in September to get those grant awards out. Next, I'm going to talk about House Bill 3652, which is the state repository for OER. So this bill required that we create a sort of digital library of OER for Texas that was specific for Texas institutions of higher education. It also required that we contract with a vendor to do this rather than trying to do it ourselves from scratch, because it's time and cost efficient to do it that way. So the coordinating board contracted with the Institute for the Study of Knowledge Management and Education, who are the creators of OER Commons, which is a large sort of national OER repository. And we're creating what they call a microsite for Texas. And a microsite is, it's not a subsite or a page off of the OER Commons. It's its own specific website with a specific URL that we've developed. And we will transfer some content from the main site of OER Commons to the Texas microsite. And then we will also be working with institutions to sort of curate materials that they're already using. And then there will also be authoring tools within the site where faculty can go in and author OER themselves or collaboratively with other faculty members. So we're calling it OER Text. And according to the bill, it's supposed to be launched September 1st of this year. We're doing our very best to get it out by August 14th. At that point, it will have resources transferred from the OER Commons in it. We're focusing for those on, again, the sort of core curriculum, high enrollment, transferable courses to begin with. Also, probably some professional development resources and what is OER and how do you use it, and online teaching, since that's such a big issue right now. And then shortly after the launch on August 14th, the OER grantees will start to upload the resources, the OER grantees from 2018, obviously, will start to upload the resources that they've developed into the site, and those will be available soon after the launch on August 14th. Oh, I should say, since this is the WECM committee, that the WECM is, you will be able to search and tag by WECM course number within the site. We've made that a feature. And so, you know, moving forward, when there's materials related to a WECM course that can be tagged with a particular course number, so that anyone who wants to look for it is able to do that by course number. I think, so there's the full URL for the grant program and also the email for the grant program and also my email if you are interested. I'm happy to take any questions, and I also have a question for you all, which is basically from your experience and perspective, if we start out with the sort of general education and core courses and focusing there, where should we move from there? What's the next step from your perspective? So thank you, and I'll take questions if you have any.
Kyla, this is Dixon Bailey. You're kind of concentrating on ACGM courses right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of the grant funds, can that be, are you going to try to use that in the future for maybe some development of more WECM type programs, courses?
So I can't of course say for sure, but it will depend on if we're appropriated more money for grants in the future and things like that. I will say that there was a landscape survey done of OER use and adoption in Texas last year, which you can find on our website if you're curious. But one of the sort of recommendations that came out of that report was that there's a gap in CTE for OER, and that should be a direction that we go in. So I think it may be likely that we do that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Kyla? Okay, Mindy, I turn it back over to you.
I just want to, sorry, Mindy, you're muted, but let me get that. Yesterday in the meeting, Stacy mentioned that she would really like to see even the WECM training materials, like the WECM 101, uploaded into that OER repository. So that's, I guess, kind of how important that is to our agency. Joyce, you're muted.
Dwayne, that's great to hear. I think it'll be a great advantage for our field as well. Mindy, it's over to you again.
All right, thank you, Chair Williams. Kyla, I thank you as well for being here today and for briefing the WECM Advisory Committee on the development of the OER resources. You all have Kyla's email address. Don't hesitate to follow up with questions or comments. Kyla, you are welcome to stay with us if you would like to. We appreciate, again, your being here today.
Thank you all. Bye.
And with that, I will go on to give a general coordinating board update. Pardon me. I'll begin with SB 64 cybersecurity report. SB 64 came out of the 86th legislature and required the coordinating board to coordinate with the Department of Information Resources to study cybersecurity programs in Texas, post-secondary programs, and to make report to the legislature. We did that work. The board approved the report this past week. And I want to emphasize one element of that report to you. One of the report's recommendations is that the coordinating board and Texas Education Agency work together to align a secondary, post-secondary cybersecurity pathway, which is good news on multiple points. We have a cybersecurity statewide program of study in place. The need does exist to do secondary, post-secondary curricular pathways across programs of study. This offers a very timely opportunity to set that pattern. We have reached out to Texas Education Agency, and we expect work to proceed on this initiative in coming months. And let me move on to the area of CARES Act funds. The coordinating board is assisting and advising the Texas Workforce Commission in developing the state's application for the Reimagining Workforce Preparation Grant. TWC is the sole eligible party to submit a grant on behalf of the state. The Reimagining Workforce Preparation funds, as I'm sure you're aware, are the post-secondary side of the educational stabilization funds that came out of the CARES Act. And the ESF funds as a whole are administered by the Department of Education. Discussions are ongoing about aligning the GEAR funds for post-secondary training, which the governor's office announced last week, with the Reimagining Workforce funds, so that the two programs work efficiently together for greatest impact on the state's post-pandemic economic recovery. I'll go on to talk a little bit about Perkins, good old Perkins. Perkins staff and colleges across the state, as I know you're well aware, are preparing for the Perkins 5 implementation year that will begin September 1. We've received and are reviewing colleges' comprehensive local needs assessments, a requirement of all local recipients of Perkins funds for the implementation year. We will be giving, and in fact may have already begun giving feedback, initial feedback to colleges on their CLNAs. Perkins applications are due August 31st, the last day of the fiscal year prior to the beginning of FY21. Colleges may budget for pre-award costs this year and operate beginning September 1 on pre-award funds so that they may do business, get their program started, meet salaries, et cetera, as those things are funded out of local Perkins funds. This will allow colleges to operate prior to receiving their annual notice of grant award for the Perkins Basic Grant. And I'm happy to make an announcement. As many of you may be aware, one of next year's Perkins State Leadership grants will support acceleration of WECM workshops to bring WECM maintenance up to date. It will work also to reduce the overall number of courses, eliminate overlaps, bring WECM to an appropriate and manageable size, and to revise protocols to support a continuous update of the database going forward. This work will be done in concert with this committee and with coordinating board staff. So the purpose of this is to, if you will, get us back up to speed so that we can operate WECM cleanly and efficiently in a 21st century way. And finally, Stacy Silverman, AQW's Assistant Commissioner, asks me to send her greetings to you today and to thank you for your good work on this committee. This committee is significant to the operation of CTE across the state, and your work is appreciated. And that's all I have. Thank you. I'll answer any questions you have if I can.
Thank you, Mindy. Does anyone on the committee have questions for Mindy? She did give a lot of great information. Okay.
I just have a vision of Mindy sitting up late night in her bed with all these CLNAs stacked beside her reading.
You're probably right with that vision, Dixon. Dwayne, do you have anything to add to the update? You're muted.
No, not at this time. I will give a report at the end of the meeting based on actions from the previous meeting.
And before I mute myself, I want to jump in and respond to Dixon's imaginative, scenario there. I've got to say that I will ultimately review all of these, but right now it is Perkins staff who are sitting up late at night with stacks of CLNAs around them. They are doing the hard work of parsing through and looking for ways to best advise all colleges on, getting compliant and productive CLNAs intact. So give your appreciation to these guys. This is a new and exciting endeavor for the whole state for CLNA. I'm sorry, for CTE. Okay, with that, I thank you.
This is Linda Head. I have a question about the cybersecurity joining up between high schools and community colleges. It's been interesting that the school districts can submit for an early college or PTech for cybersecurity. We've had experience in Houston where the school district submitted for a PTech and were approved, but then they want dual credit with the community college, but it hasn't been aligned. Nor had there been an in-depth crosswalk conversation really prior to the submission of the PTech. So I think this alignment will really help with that so that we're not, racing to catch up and make it work after the fact, that we are truly part of these PTechs, especially since most of them are wanting a dual credit relationship of some sort, and sometimes even a facility sharing with the community colleges. So thank you for that information. If there's anything the community colleges can do, let us know if you need representation.
Much appreciated, Linda. Thank you for those comments. PTech is operated wholly on the secondary side. It's administered by TEA. Coordinating board supports that work with some funding, but we are still moving into what I think is going to be, I'm calling it the age of alignment. I think we're going to see alignment of CTE across the state on multiple fronts toward, maximally productive and serviceable workforce system. And it's going to be good to watch this work go forward over the next several years.
May I jump in for one moment? This is Robin Garrett. I just want to caution all of us and institutions about the terms articulation and alignment and all of that when looking at granting credit for high school classes. We have to be very careful that we don't do that unless because we are responsible by SACS for all of the credit that we award. And if it is a dual credit agreement, that's great, but we have to be very cautious with all programs. And the word articulation is written in this cybersecurity. And for the most part, people believe articulation means a granting of credit because that's how it's done when you articulate to a university. So I just want to caution everybody to be very careful about granting credit for a high school class that's not your own curriculum and your own teaching.
Madam Chairperson, may I also make a comment? I am the individual that authored the WECM leadership grant. When I first joined this committee, I really felt like I could help y'all with supporting it through some leadership funds and some possibilities. I have reached out to some of y'all, but some of y'all don't know me or you were not involved or we didn't forward this whole process to the committee until, of course, we went through the approval process. I have found some guidance and some directions from some WECM originators. And so Catherine O'Brien will be helping me and will be one of the major sub-grant consultants on this. Additionally, Deanna Savage is one of the individuals listed on the grant that is also a panelist in providing guidance. So I in no way want to assume that I know everything about WECM or that I am changing anything. In fact, the title of this grant is Restructure, Repairing, and Rebuilding Our Foundation. And so as Mindy perfectly said, it's kind of provides an opportunity to leapfrog. I'm open to any dialogue. I'm open to any criticism. Please let me know if I'm not in the right direction or doing something wrong. But I wanted to let you know what kind of was the background in the foundation if you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you, Leslie. I think it's a great opportunity. I think everyone on this committee has been committed to making sure that we re-implement and the workshops, because not only were the workshops valued by the field, but they were valued by institutions because there were opportunities for collaborative conversations as well as learning opportunities and professional development. But again, it was also the ability for colleges to be able to share across Texas their not only teaching experience, but also industry input that they had gotten from their local areas. So it's good to be able to have someone that is going to be supporting those WECM workshops again. And so that we can be more responsive as a committee to the field. And so I appreciate the coordinating board for its efforts, its Perkins efforts, in pushing that as part of one of the leadership grants. And I certainly appreciate Temple stepping up to wanting to lead the effort with that. And Catherine O'Brien has been a part of WECM for many years and has lots of talents in that part of that. So those of us who do know her think that she will be a great asset to what you were putting together. I would like to, as Robin has said, I would like to make sure that we, as a committee, that we're aware, and all of you are, as institutional administrators are definitely, and faculty, are aware of dual credit and are aware how significant dual credit has become to our community colleges as far as enrollment is concerned and completions. But I do want to, again, as Robin says, to caution us, because as we look as community colleges, we look at those numbers, we look at how many enrollments we have, because that's part of the accountability that the state puts on us. So we are looking at the accountability of how many enrollments, the accountability of how many completions. But we must remember as CTE, there are other accountabilities in there as well. And that is, we have CTE in the state of Texas has a student guarantee that says that if we, the community colleges, graduate a student that does not have the skill, the technical skill, with an Associates of Applied Science degree and or a certificate, and they are hired by an employer, and that those skills are not effective, efficient, and say and do what we said they will deliver, we are committed to being able to give that student up to 9 credit hours of free tuition back to retake that. The other part of that is placement. So when we start looking at PTEX and we start looking at dual credit and we start looking at the fact that a student graduates with a high school diploma and an applied associate's degree, applied science associate's degree, a CTE degree at 17 in cybersecurity, are they employable to go to work? Are they employable to go to work? Remember, our accountability is to prepare people. CTE is designed for immediately being able to supply a pipeline of employees. So 5 years from the time we start that PTEC, and an employer comes to us and we are there waving our flag saying, we got 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 graduates that have completed, because a lot of them are part of that PTEC model. And the employer says, who's paying taxes into our base, is saying, where are mine? where are those employees for me? And we say, oh, I'm sorry, they're 17. They can't go to work for you unless you're getting ready to hire 17-year-olds in cybersecurity. So I want us to be very careful with, as we shape the alignment and pathways for PTEX and how we model this and how we're looking at AAS degrees and intent, because they're not always built for articulation. So I want us to caution ourselves that we don't let PTEX determine what we offer at a community college. We continue to let the industry drive what we do and hopefully build a pipeline to get students in, and not promise, especially underserved student population, not give them a falsehood of the fact that they are going to go and work in cybersecurity at 17 years old when they graduate. And that's where they're going to be employed in that field. They may be a web security or a web interface, but they are not going to be a person that's going to be accessing a cybersecurity base. So I'm not saying that they won't be in website or intrusion or anything like that. I just don't want to give the parents and students those falsehoods that we are actually they're actually going to go to work as a cybersecurity person making hundreds of thousands of dollars with no experience at 17 years old and facing child labor laws of being able to work 40 hours a week in that field. So I just want us to just make sure that we are true to what CTE is supposed to be about.
Chair Williams, are you saying because of their maturity level?
I'm saying because of their maturity.
Legally, they can work at 17, correct?
Yeah, I'm talking about their maturity level, but I am also talking about industry having to pay higher insurance rates as someone at 17 than someone at 21. And so you don't have a lot of industry that are wanting to pay that higher insurance rate either. So I'm not saying that we're discouraging it. I'm just saying as high schools approach you, you need to be very careful with how we are letting them drive what we do instead of letting industry drive what we do.
And Joyce makes a good point. I'll chime in here with, just this comment. We're 20 years down the dual credit road. I developed online dual credit English courses in 2001. We're a long way down this road. The thinking has evolved to the extent that we are now looking at, and we have federal legislation requiring development of secondary, post-secondary pathways. Does it open up complex questions such as those that Joyce raises? Yes, it does. Secondary education must still be appropriate to secondary. We do have a need, I agree, to align to post-secondary education in a way that's appropriate for positioning students to enter the workforce out of post-secondary education. Post-secondary education, CTE education, does stand in the gap, if you will. It is the nexus. It is, the stop before the final stop of entering, a good career. I think that we will ultimately solve these problems and deal with the complex issues that go with them. But we do have our work cut out for us. And Joyce, you make really good points there. It's not simple, and it's going to require both at the state level and at the local level that we work together appropriately to keep post-secondary CTE representative of what employers are looking for in a new hire.
Is it Dixon Bay? I agree. And Joyce, you were talking about it. And I've wondered in how many college war rooms across Texas when COVID hit, looking at a fall dip in enrollment, did the thinking go to dual credit as a source for revenue recapture, I guess, if you would. What's always concerned me, especially at small colleges, is gobbling up. These percentages are starting to get out of whack. 40, 50, 60% of your enrollment, 30, 35% of your contact hour funding. At some point, probably not this session, but if things hit and they stay, the LBB is not going to have the money may not have the funds to spread across the dual credit like they're currently doing, which could really damage a lot of institutions that have relied on it as recurring income in their budget. Just a comment, kind of agreeing with you.
Thank you. We are now on item number 10. No, I'm sorry, item number 9. Report from Special Topic and Local Need Course Review Subcommittees.
Okay, Joyce, again, I'd like to offer Vernon an opportunity to give his TASE update if he's ready to do so.
Yeah. Do you have me on I had a lot of technical difficulties, so do you have my audio now? I'm gonna make sure.
Yes,
okay.
Vernon, we do.
Okay, thank you. Vernon Hawkins, Dallas College. I just wanted to say that due to with Special Talking to Local Needs, we don't have a report this morning. We the committee, due to vacations and other higher priority issues over the last 2 weeks, we're not able to complete the task. We'll have it completed by mid-August, and we'll have a report at our next meeting on the special topics and local needs that we recently received.
Okay, and Vernon, did you have anything to update as far as the TASE?
What TASE is, what we're getting ready to launch is over the next month, we're going to start having a number of virtual trainings that are going to be coming out much like a number of our national similar organizations are doing, we decided that though we're ready to go for next April, due to COVID, we're going to take the tack that we need to have training for our folks on things like WECM and other issues that we're finding from a lot of the colleges around the state. So in the next 30 days, we'll be announcing monthly trainings that we're going to be doing online. And we have a team that are working right now to develop the first 3. So we'll be putting that out to all our membership within the next 30 days. We expect to have between 3 and 4 between now and April. And hopefully if everything clears up, we'll be back launching our conference in April and try to bring some normalcy to what we have done in the past. So that's kind of my update as far as TASTE goes, and we are committed to moving forward, to working through this situation. I'm sure everyone is, and it's been difficult over the last 6 months, but we're moving forward, and the leadership, TASTE leadership is committed to what we do and to CTE and to continuing education for the citizens of Texas. And so we're committed to continuing that mission. So that's kind of my update right now.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
Vernon, and I guess another question. I'm thinking of the model of like for TACD, they have an email list or a distribution list that you don't have to be a member to be on that list. Is there something similar in TASTE where like not you get updates?
We're updating that, and definitely we have had some conversation about it. Right now our listserv is really a members only, but we are going to open it up to whoever wants to receive our literature. So definitely that is on the agenda, Dwayne. Yeah.
Okay, it's good to know. Thanks.
Okay.
And I guess next we'll go to Olga with her report.
Yes, Olga Valerio, EPCC. We have been very intense with these special topics. I never know what kind of work I was doing, and I can tell you what was the process that we follow, especially because it was accredited courses. Because it's accredited courses, we have to be very sure that we are not given to some community college not viable, because then we are going to screw up in all the degree plan that they have it already. And then this is the process that we did. Before, I wanted to say thank you to Leslie and James. They were so helpful. James is amazing. I mean, same Leslie, she gave it to me a really good answerings and everything. And let me tell you how was the process. After I received it, the comments and everything, I review one by one. I go to the different WECM courses, and only in WECM, I got to also to another ACC, I think so. Then I'm going to the web page to every single community college, and I look in the program that they have it. Then I look in all the courses, because sometimes they ask for advanced or intermediate courses. And I notice, or they are asking for creating portfolios or co-ops. And I noticed that they were teaching sometimes the same. They just wanted to combine, or they wanted just to change the rubric. It was amazing how every community college wanted to create their own rubric. It was amazing also, every community college wanted to have their own hours. I agree with some community college because cosmetology or nursing, the barbers, they change the TDLR hours. Then that one we have to be very careful and approve that one. And also for nursing, I was surprised that they wanted to train more like courses, like customized training, because we have right now the COVID-19 and they are requiring to be focusing in COVID-19 and they are requiring a new local need. And I go, well, it is the same. Yes, we are doing the fundamentals are there, maybe including your objectives, and that's it. It was very intense. I can tell you maybe one class, now I'm getting expert in all the community colleges also, what courses they offer or they don't offer. Also, I noticed that we need to change, I don't know if it could be possible, to change the descriptions in WECM, because we already have the material there, but we need to add in the outcomes because everything changed with the time. We need to add the extra sentence. Many community colleges, they are requiring same course, but they said, because we don't have a similar course in WECM, we are requesting to develop this local need. Guess what? Yes, we have it. However, we need to add the extra. Like for example, we need to add I'm going to say for production, they were talking about process technology. We have the courses already in process technology. Yes, add the extra that they wanted to be focused more technical in this area, or for certain certifications that they were talking about NCCR and AWS. We already have the courses. Maybe we can add in the WECM course, these courses is aligned also with the NC, for example, NCCR certification, AWS. You know, we need to change that one. That way, we don't have many courses and courses and courses. James, Leslie, and myself, we have been very picky. I noticed that. We are not approving everything. We give it to them suggestions. I know Dwayne and Joyce, they already saw. I include some in red that mean I questioning. Sometimes I didn't approve or disapprove because I go like, I wanted to present it to you guys as soon as I finish. And also, I thought the second list that Dwayne sent it to me was the last, was all together. No, it wasn't, it wasn't. But the first list was so easy. But I noticed some community colleges were asking a robotic courses, but the robotic courses is already in maintenance and manufacturing all together. I suggest to change also the rubric. I showing what kind of rubric they want to use it, what they have to do it. Another one of funding, I have it, is that some courses, they are requesting on special topics because we have only 16 hours or 48 hours. And a community college is requesting, let's say 64 hours. Maybe we need to include an extra 64 hours. That way we don't request a special topic. Mm-hmm. Some community college, that's one of the big problems that we have, especially for nursery, filmmaker, I believe it, marketing, visual marketing. I think so the courses are there. However, they want more in depth. Also, I noticed some community college, and I don't know how we can address that one, especially for drafting for specific occupations. We don't have drafting courses for electric, we don't have for process technology, we don't have drafting for civil, we don't have drafting for mechanical. It doesn't exist. Maybe we have drafting for specific occupations, but when we send in that one, many colleges believe it that they have to teach all the gamma on drafting. Maybe we can change a little bit in the course description. Drafting for specific occupations in the area is required. Something like that. That way we don't receive many special topics with all the draftings, electronics, electrical, welding, pipe fitting, plumbers. There are many. We don't have some, and work on some specific course, then we open the door for a big courses they are going to be required, every single college. And this is my report. I mean, you're going to see all the suggestions, and I think so you already have yours, but I'm no expert in health. And I don't know if somebody in the committee knows a little bit about health. That one I'm going to need your help in that one. It's taking me a little bit more time for health because I don't want it to, we don't want it to deny as a subcommittee because it is health. You know, we haven't a life and then with everybody, especially for nursing, NCR, CPR, you know, they exist in continuing education, but no in credit.
So Dwayne, could you throw the health request for local needs and special topics on the screen for those people who are more visual that was listening to because it had so many specifics in it, so that we could just kind of go through what her committee will be needing and kind of explain the process, please? Can you share that on the screen as a visual?
Oh, take me just a second.
Hey, Joyce, can I follow up with something what Olga said?
Yes.
I was on the committee too. This is James Chegwin, and I'm primarily IT. She, and I think Rhonda mentioned it earlier, guys, you know, there are a lot of duplicates in some of these courses. And I mean, like mobile app development, there is a mobile app class. Change, like Rhonda said, change your syllabus. Or like Olga said, change your thing. We've still got 2 for cloud computing. What did Cynthia and I and Robin do 2 years ago? We've got a cloud computing class. Guys, figure this out. I'm on the Kool-Aid bandwagon now after 2 years on this committee.
You got
guys,
it, right?
I'm saying there are legitimate things. Don't get me wrong. There was like for data analysis and mining, and there are some legitimate things that we need to discuss, like how these are going to tie in together, these vendor specific things, but those are, but don't come and say, I need a iOS web. There is a mobile app class out there. There are cloud computing classes, and we're trying to say the same thing here. And I just want to make sure that these people that are hear this. I mean, Rhonda had a very excellent point earlier about you can change the curriculum by doing that, or even like Volga said, just add a few words or just change the courses. They're there. The other thing too is they're not looking in the, they want an ITSE. There's an ITSC with the same thing. I don't know what they're doing. Those are my opinions. Okay. Yes, there are some things I think, you know, with the, you know, the data mining. Yes, there were a few things, and I did put that in. So thank you.
Well, and I think Leslie's project, leadership project on the WECM is going to help. I think Vernon's TASTE project for all of the training that CE is going to be offering is going to help. I also think those who are in our listening audience, and I think your participation on this committee, like you said, James, you've been here for 2 years, you got it now. You see it, because you can touch it and you can not only hear it, but you can see it. And that goes to what Andrew was saying earlier. Some people are visual, so they have to experience it, they have to see it, they have to touch it. And so that's why I wanted to be able to have something up on the screen so you guys could look at it. And if you have experience or knowledge in the health field, that you can help Olga's committee truly look at this to make recommendations in teachable moment fashion to the colleges to help them understand that they need to look at not just the rubric that they want to use because they're looking at faculty credentials, but they look at the content of the course. And I think Robin has spoken that beat that drum for the last 10 years about the content and the qualification of faculty to teach the specific content based on SACS and for SACS accreditation, not the rubric. And I think we gotta figure out a way, and I think Leslie's project is going to help us by, again, reestablishing those WECM workshops so people like Kevin and Dwayne can get in there and lead those teams and help them understand that it's really about the content and not so much about the rubric. So Dwayne, have you found it yet?
Okay, and which,
The health.
okay.
Okay.
Again, this is the summary form.
That's the summary form that was submitted for local needs that were submitted from colleges based on what they think that should be added to the welcome. And as Olga and her staff have said on the IT side and other sides of the house, they reviewed those, but they really would like someone who may have more experience on the allied health side to help them with reviewing these. And I can see just immediately that some of these classes, some of this stuff already exists in the welcome. When you
I was about to say these pathophysiology and pharmacology courses were actually written based on I think about a year ago, based on review. And so these are just lingering. I think one of the new program areas, Tarrant County has an anesthesiology, anesthesia technology program that they started. There are currently no rubrics in the WECM for that.
Yeah. And, you know, the MRI program has been around for years. So I think we just need to have someone to be able to, who has knowledge of the content area. But thank you, Thera. Oh, thank you, Thera. We already got a volunteer already. So I was gonna stand up and just continue to beg until somebody volunteered. And I see that we don't have to. So Thera has already volunteered, Olga, to work with you on looking at what courses already exist in the welcome. And so that we could look at whether or not we need to create more clinicals, whether or not we need to create more courses, whether or not we need to create a new rubric, all of those things that are there.
Yeah, and one other possibility, sometimes if the course is already in the WECM, you want to look at the contact hours, because the contact hours in the WECM might be, like for this one, the MRI course, it might be 48 to 96 or something like that. So you might want to see if it's an issue with the contact hour range, maybe also the credit hour.
Okay, all right. And
one of the courses has the problem. One of the courses has the problem. They are requesting different hours, and in WECM we don't see the hours they are requesting, but we are including that one in our comments that we need to go and only to change the hours. Okay.
Well, and you may have to. There may be only a 3 credit hour version, and Dwayne may have to be able to create a 4 credit hour version. There may be a 2 credit hour version, and they're asking for a 4 credit hour. Dwayne would have to create a 3 and a 4 credit hour. So those are things that can be easily fixed through that. I see that Cindy Griffith also has a health background, so you may want to reach out to her as well.
Joyce, Chair?
Yes.
One thing as far as the protocols go, keep in mind that courses can remain as a special topic on here or a local need. If it's just one college that's requesting a 32-hour versus the 48, you know, it's not necessarily a trigger to change something in the WECM if it's just one college requesting something like that, unless there's a need across the state. I just wanted to make that clear also.
The problem sometimes that we have it, I noticed they have a different name different title. However, if you go to WECM, it's the same course, they're only requesting at different hours. We found it also that one, different title, the course content is very similar between two colleges, and then we go like, what? That's the same. And it's the same in WECM, but we need to change ours. That's all the findings that we did, James, myself, and Leslie. I mean, it was like, and I love James because he was very honest in his comments, so honest.
Robin, would you like to just kind of be on the email, kind of as an advisor when it comes to the protocols, from this, not the review team, but when they come up with certain questions, you can give them advice where they won't have to work so hard. Would you like to be that?
I will be more than happy to provide advice at any time if they would like to send me an email, definitely.
Okay, so as we, again, this conversation is about the special topics in local needs. And so we are in compliance with that discussion of how we are reviewing local needs and special topics with that content area.
Would you mind to chop some during that we already reviewed, that way that also Tara can see it, and Cindy, how we are answering all the questions. They can see it. Anyway, I'm going to send it to them, but the way that you know how we are doing.
Okay, yeah, and this is, I think Dwayne is now showing that you reviewed the IT area and some of those as well in your comments there. Okay.
Yeah, for example, illustration is the same class that we already have it, but in one class they're asking only for make a portfolio. That's it. But it's the same concept, but the college is proposing two different classes.
Right.
When I went to the curriculum, I found that one. When I went to review the program, and when I saw the syllabus, because we went to look for the syllabus also that they have in the web page, it was exactly the same. Illustration airbrush and illustration airbrush, it was the same, except this last one with red comment is that they're requesting a portfolio.
Okay.
It was kind of.
That speaks back to what James has said and Rhonda has said, that just add an added objective that they could add without requesting a new course. And again, remember our charge that we've talked about, and I'm not saying that we should limit it based on our charge, but we have to do due diligence based on that charge of looking at reducing duplication of content and rubrics in the WECM. And so this is part of that due diligence. And I really appreciate, Olga, your subcommittee and working with this and how we're moving through this. So I'm sure that we'll have a more comprehensive recommendation from your committee to be able to accept your recommendations at our next meeting, correct? Okay.
Oh, and Olga, I just want to let you know, and Vernon also. So I had, on previous times, I had sent you 3 months worth of courses, but in order to kind of catch up on the backlog, I ended up sending 6 months worth this last time. That's why there are a few more courses. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that when I sent them.
It just slipped his mind.
It just slipped his mind. Okay. I wonder what all, I was like, how do we have this many? Okay.
Yeah, right. Normally it would be about half that number. From now on, it'll be about half that number. But it's in order to get caught up to, we got caught up.
We're ready.
Okay. So Olga, is there anything else?
No, unless James or Leslie, they wanted to add something that maybe I forgot.
Okay. All right. With that, we are going on to item number 11, future agenda items and resources required for the next meeting.
Okay. I guess I'd like to start this part with a kind of a recap of things we did at the last, or recommendations that were made at the last meeting and the follow-up. So first there was a request to reduce the number of hours for real estate 1,000 to 30 contact hours. After Vernon discussed it with the college, they determined, I think this was even at the end of the last meeting, they determined that they could teach the 32 hours and include exam prep and licensing prep, for example, in those final 2 hours, and that TREC would accept the 30 hours for their licensing. So that was resolved. There was a question to review the Microsoft Azure apps and infrastructure certification courses. We had asked, I think, Robin and James to look and see if there were any, if these were, if the material could be covered in existing WECM courses, or if there needed to be new WECM courses. Linda had requested that workshops for information technology be scheduled every year. That is something we will probably look at when we meet with the WECM renovation leadership grant. We'll kind of work on perhaps some kind of a review schedule. It won't be the same as or probably won't be the same as the 4-year review schedule we had before, but it's some kind of a periodic review schedule for courses that are in high change fields. We had a request from Joe Arrington, or a comment from Joe Arrington about the recommendation from the Continuing Education Special Topic Local Need Course Review to reactivate EDTC 1001. Again, Joyce mentioned that since that course has already been archived, it would have to be a new course written, and that's still in process. And finally, I guess more important, I wanted to point out, Joyce brought up the question about the programs of study. And I just wanted to show the changes that we made on that based on those comments. So here we have on the program of study website, we added the statement that all courses in the program of study curriculum must be adopted as published unless otherwise noted on the curriculum page below. And as just a second. Okay, there was another question I'm bringing up here, the EMSP program of study. There's a question about the clinical and practical courses. Looking back over the notes from the advisory committee or the subcommittee, they mentioned the maximum of 8 hours, and they mentioned that they should be at least 3 courses, 3 clinical practical courses throughout the program, but they never really specified it would be a minimum. So I just based it on the minimum number for 3 hours. 3 courses would be 3 hours. And so I created a range for the clinical practicum courses. And then there's a note at the bottom. This note here says the total number of clinical practicum hours required depends on the student's attainment of the required program objectives. So in EMSP, there are specific objectives in each clinical, a certain number of incidents, I guess, that the student had to be exposed to. So as long as those requirements are met, then the permit for clinical leery about having to approve somebody coming in from another college, and it's the receiving college's responsibility to make sure that all of the requirements have been met. And so there was, some discussion that either through assessment or interviews or some other kind of information gathering, that the receiving institution could verify that the student had met all of the requirements, or otherwise require additional, if they hadn't met all the requirements that the licensing requires, then they could have additional course work. So those were again, that was just the follow-up on the action items from last meeting.
Well, certainly I appreciate, as chair, I appreciate that the coordinating board staff is responsive to the request of this committee, as well as the request of the field. So Mindy and Dwayne, really thank you so much for being responsive to the needs of clarity, because this is a huge, huge database. And sometimes when clarity is needed by the field immediately, or even by members of this committee, we need it immediately, because decisions are being made based on what has been put out there, published by the coordinating board. And so thank you so much for being so responsive and making sure clarity and or corrections are made immediately.
Okay.
So again, we're looking at future agenda items and resources required for the next meeting. So are there specific agenda items that you all want to place on the next agenda?
Madam Chairperson.
Yes.
I have the timeline and everything in the grant, but I suspect maybe an invite to Catherine into this and a discussion item on grant progress and grant deliverables might be helpful as we kind of bring different things that need to be documented within this meeting and as we progress through the grant.
Certainly, I think probably what we need, Leslie, is first an overview of the project, what it is, what are the responsibilities for this committee. I think working with the coordinating board staff to look at, again, you do have 2 requests for welcome workshops, the Cisco and the film, as well as the jury that's coming up. I don't know, when is your project start date? Is it in August or is it in September? That kind of determines the timelines for welcome workshops and how they'll be designed. Welcome workshops will still be assigned through the coordinating board to your project. So all of that has to kind of be worked out internally between the coordinating board, that part of it. We are on the end of the review part of it and how that's developed. So definitely being able to put you on the next agenda for an overview of what the grant will be about, along with guidance from Mindy on the coordinating board of how you all will receive the information through the coordinating board for nominations, or if that's now going to be turned over to you, if that's still going to be at the coordinating board. I think those are the things that have.
And let me jump in here. This will continue to be a coordinating board managed process. This is an advisory committee, a standing advisory committee of the coordinating board. However, the addition of leadership funds to support this committee, especially now as we're needing to kind of do some catch up and recovery work, is priceless. However, the grant will proceed forward on advisement of coordinating board and WECM advisory committee members. A practical first step upon beginning of the fiscal year for this project would be for us to kind of sit down and talk about these things.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think the whole committee needs to hear the overview of what the project, what the WECM workshop project is about first, so that we can get that. Okay.
Could we agree to maybe have an initial meeting of it's some advisory committee members, coordinating board staff, and Leslie and her team prior to the next open meeting of the WECM Advisory Committee, and we'll be able to announce that the ball is rolling and the direction it's rolling in.
Right. That's fine. So who will take a lead? Who will take the lead on sending out an invite? Will that be you or Leslie, Mindy?
Well, we have to decide on the spot here. Leslie, why don't we just coordinate? We'll want to make sure that we know who's attending and that we work with everyone's calendars.
Okay. So whoever's gonna, you and Leslie will decide who's gonna send out the initial invite, and that's fine. Okay, any other agenda items for future meetings that you all want to see? Okay, Andrew, you have any special agenda items? Okay, all right. Troy, any special agenda items?
None, thank you.
None. Okay, all right. Robin, you raised your head. Did I see?
No, I hope to have some sort of a flow chart bullet list protocol update.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Okay. So, Dwayne, do you have any suggested timeline dates for future meetings? We usually try to schedule 2 meetings ahead.
Yeah, right. I'm checking calendars now.
And just as Dwayne's checking, I will say that we met last year, I just looked, in September, January, April, and July, in the last week of each of those 4 months. And as I recall, did we schedule a year's meetings in advance? I think we did.
I don't know if we scheduled a year. I know that we have been using scheduling 2 meetings ahead because things have been changing so much and so rapidly.
That's probably a good thought there, Joyce.
So, you know, you're saying last year we did September and January.
Right.
Right.
Right, and that, I guess to clarify, we had originally scheduled a meeting in December, but due to problems with the quorum, we had to postpone it until January.
Right.
Or September, December, and then like March and July or June.
Dwayne, do you have any dates for us in September?
Okay, again, I'm still, unfortunately, I'm trying to access the remote desktop.
Okay. Do you want to send those out to us later?
Sure.
Okay, why don't we do that? Okay, well, again, I want to thank each and every one of you. I know that the school year is getting ready to start, and so I know your schedules are busy. I know in the midst of a pandemic, your adjustment for classes, your adjustments for faculty, your adjustments of calendar, all of those things have been adjusted and will continue to do so. But I do want to say thank you for just being a part of this advisory committee, for all of your input, for your commitment. And I especially want to thank the coordinating board, because during all of this time that we've been out, they have also been out of their offices working remotely as well. And they've been getting a lot of things done and still have been there every day when we pick up the phone, when we send an email. They've been very, very responsive. And so I don't want anyone to think that is not listening to this call or that is as a member, that I don't want you to think just because of the fact that the colleges are the only ones that have been hit by this, that our faculty and our students are the only one been hit by this. The coordinating board staff have also been hit, but yet they've been doing a yeoman's job with getting out the Perkins application, with getting out compliance, getting out programs of study, and also keeping their commitment to all CTE programs as well. So I do want to thank you, Mindy, publicly, and Dwayne publicly, and Val definitely publicly, to say thank you for all the things that you all have been doing in the midst of COVID as well. So with that, I'm going to tell you guys to have a great start of school year. I'm sure that most of you are still going to be doing business online. Some of you are going to be doing some blended, and who knows, let's just cross our fingers that we don't have another total shelter in place and shut down, that we can serve the students that need us. So with that, I'm going to join the meeting and say, we'll see you in September. Take care. If you need anything prior to that, I'm just an email away. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Joyce, thank you for your work.
I can't let you sign off without thanking you and all of you. You guys are ever vigilant and ever there for the public cause, and it's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.